Hey there, guys. Sean Michael here from On Microsoft, and we are here to talk Microsoft. As always, I'm here with co-host Sean Ung. How you doing this week, Sean?
Doing great. Thanks, Sean.
It's been a pretty good week for Microsoft related news. We have everything from leaks of alleged leaks of a Cloud OS version of Windows 10, and we got quite a bit of market share news and different things to talk about. Just to clarify for anyone, we've had some issues in the last few podcasts. On Microsoft, in terms of the website, on Microsoft.com is spelled out as kind of like the tax code of Microsoft. So it's on msft.com. So if you are trying to find the website, please make sure to do that. We have weekend recaps coming up here. This is the new time for the podcast here, Talk Microsoft. So we're going to put this up, tonight live. It'll be online by Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
And then also we have written versions we have recaps from everything from Xbox to Windows 10 to Windows 10 Mobile, all sorts of the news recaps from throughout the week in
Sounds
written
great.
format. So whether you like hearing us, whether you like reading about us, whatever that is, we got all that. And if you kind of a hold on, maybe you just found the podcast on Microsoft.com is also there for all sorts of breaking news and videos, the latest builds, and all that sort of thing. So if you like Microsoft, or you're using Microsoft services on your Android or your iPhone, or obviously Windows and Windows Mobile, but that should be a given. Then this is
Yep.
the destination for you.
Sounds fantastic.
Now we're going to have to make that list even longer. We're going to say if you're using Windows 10 or Windows 10 Mobile or Windows 10 IoT, or if it's on your fridge. Well, maybe it could be running a new version of Windows 10 that's supposed to be coming out here,
Yeah,
right,
so
Sean?
we've heard lots of new versions. Yeah, I keep thinking they're trying to unify Windows, but every time they unify it more, there's a new version of Windows that pops out. So this is not Windows 10 on ARM, which is what I think is really cool. This seems to be going in the wrong direction, but let me know what you think, Sean. This is what is called Windows Cloud. It's still kind of a rumor. I'd say probably a good rumor. But Windows Cloud, the idea is having a Surface RT type device that can't really run full software, but a lot of the applications that you run, heavy duty applications, would be on the cloud, and then you'd be able to run kind of UWP applications on the device itself. So very Surface RT-esque device.
Yeah, I mean, I think on one hand, this is reminiscent of the Surface RT in terms of some of the limitations, but it's not so much in terms of everything. Let me put it this way. Windows 10 Cloud, if it is what people are saying, I think could ultimately be a good thing to compete with Chromebooks. That's what people are talking about. It's a lightweight SKU of Windows 10. It could be a cheaper version. There could be like either little or no licensing fees. You want kind of this app-based program or OS. I think that could be ultimately a good thing.
Yep. Yep.
And I think that I can see where people are coming from, like you, where you're saying it's divulged a bit, and I see that. I'd probably prefer if everything on Earth was powerful enough to run full Windows 10. But
Yes.
if the result of this was like a really cheap Ultrabook or something where people could get a lot of power
Uh-huh.
and UWP apps and the store into a device, but it's very cheap.
Yeah.
Schools could buy hundreds of them or whatever. I guess I could see that. Personally, I'm not a Chromebook user, so it's hard for
Yep.
me to see the value in a Chromebook competitor personally. But I've seen so many people seem to think that they're not useful, and it's like, well, no, look, they make money.
Oh
Google
yeah.
sells Chromebooks,
Yeah.
so obviously there's a demand for them. Even if it's not you personally or a listener right now, there is a marketplace for a lightweight operating system running apps that do certain forms of productivity, but are in the form of a clamshell device.
Yep.
And so this could be that, I guess. Do you see the value in that?
Yeah, yeah. So I've got a little video clip to share, and I think the key here is it's not a light version of Windows only. I think that one of the hidden things, again, this is all just speculation and rumor, but one of the hidden kind of power features is that this will be able to connect to the cloud. So let me show this quick little video clip. Hopefully everyone can hear it and see it. It's just like 20 seconds.
Through. I'm playing Spotify right now.
Connecting to the remote desktop really gives you a taste of the future, really. I mean, we live in 2013. We're going to be in an era where most of our computational power, most of our computing is going to be done over the cloud. I'm connected to my powerful desktop computer downstairs. I have 24/7 access to it, not only on my home Wi-Fi network, but on the go and anywhere. I've got a phone with wireless tethering.
Okay, so just a little clip. Let me go back to the other scene. So I don't know if people online were able to see and hear that, but basically this was 4 years ago now. Man, time flies. I had the Surface RT, the original Surface One RT, and I was basically showing how, yeah, you couldn't run full software on the Surface RT, but if you connected to a remote desktop, you could, and how I thought that was going to be the future of computing. We were all going to be running around using low-powered devices where our OS was going to be powered using the cloud. So we'd all connect to these massive, big, capable cloud systems. So yeah, I don't know. I think we're starting to see something very similar, popping up.
I guess there's only one flaw with this whole thing, Sean, is apparently the fact that it uses the term cloud might not mean what we think it does.
You don't think so?
Well, I mean, from what I've seen, it's not attached to cloud computing. Now, that being said, there must be something, right? I mean, Microsoft's got some odd naming schemes, everything from how they count through their versions of Windows to everything else. But I don't know. From what maybe cloud is because it's lightweight. Cloud is like airy.
That would be super confusing.
But I mean, obviously, we have to wait for an official announcement. If it is what this is, I could see some devices running this. I also think there are devices that can run full Windows 10, especially when Windows 10 comes to ARM. But I don't think need to run full Windows 10. There's a mirror with Windows 10 in it. I don't think you need your mirror to run Windows 10. Do you need a task manager on your mirror?
That might be tricky.
And so, I mean, I think just UWP apps on certain things is fine. I mean, I think the Xbox has gained capabilities from UWP, and I think that the marketplace has improved.
Yep.
And we'll get to this in a little bit. I don't think the market share of Windows 10 is yielding some of the development results that we kind of want. And I wonder if something like this would help. If education was still running Windows 10 and market share continues to rise, and this counts towards the hundreds of millions using Windows 10, I'd be surprised if developers didn't add on. But I guess if people, because this would make people use apps. Mm-hmm. Well, I guess we'll get to this story in a sec, but I'm not sure Windows 10 is making developers develop more, because I'm not sure Windows 10 users actually use apps. I mean, how many apps do you use on your PCs?
I use the Facebook app for live streaming. Yeah, not too. I've started to use the mail app a little bit more, but yeah, I don't use too many. Are you talking about UWP apps, right?
Yeah, not classic programs.
I feel like I always want to use them, but then I never do. So it's kind of a weird feeling.
There are some apps that are useful. I'm not claiming that there's no apps that are useful, but you could have 700 million. You could have 1 billion people using Windows 10. Mm-hmm. But if Windows 10 doesn't mean people use apps, then developers aren't going to make apps for it. And Windows 10 Cloud would make users have to use apps. So if people used it, it could be good. I guess it could also potentially backfire, because people might say, well, it doesn't have the apps, I don't want to use it, I'll go with Chrome, especially as people point out in the comments, Chromebooks are going to start running Android apps. And even if it's not the super most native experience in the universe, people want apps that are there rather than the potential to have apps that are there.
Yep.
So
somebody in the comments said, what if Windows 10 Cloud is the Windows 10 on ARM?
I sure hope not.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how this all shakes. I feel like there's going to be one giant event where all this is going to be revealed. But I don't know.
Another Windows 10 event that we seem to have about one every year. So if Windows 10 that would be, to me, exactly what you said, moving backwards. You got to move forward. To me, and when you and I did our podcast and we talked about Windows 10 on ARM, the reason that was so exciting is because you could have the potential of full Windows 10 on a phone or a small tablet.
Yep.
If
Yep.
it was limited to UWP, that's not really that different than a phone in terms of a lot of usability.
That's repeating the Surface RT all over again.
And I think Microsoft must have learned their lesson.
There's a reason why they pulled
to me,
it,
I'd say
right?
that can't be what it is.
Yeah,
Because
there's
the
a reason why they
RT
pulled it.
just didn't work.
So yeah, I can't imagine them repeating the RT. Yeah, so that's why I just don't. I feel like a Windows 10 cloud that's just a light version of Windows. I feel like that would be repeating RT. So there's got to be more to it, but I don't know. It's all speculation at this
I
point.
think we gotta wait. We gotta wait for a full announcement to get some of these details. I think. Well, because think about it, there were leaked screenshots so allegedly today
Yeah.
that we reported on, and it doesn't look that different, and you wouldn't expect it to, because the goal with the composable shell and scalable Windows and this unified one core and design language and everything else in the shell, they're all supposed to look the same if they're on the same size screen. Whether
Yeah.
it's your phone, your tablet, or your PC, if you put it on a monitor, they should look identical eventually.
Yeah.
So obviously Windows 10 Cloud wouldn't look that different.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep, exactly. Well, it remains to be seen.
I think there's a ghost in my house, Sean. This
Is
door
it-
just keeps opening.
Is there? Oh man, well, we'll keep an eye on you. Stay on the podcast.
Yeah, if all of a sudden I just cut out in the middle of it, you guys know what happened.
Technical difficulties.
Yeah, exactly. But Windows 10 Traditional actually hit a pretty big milestone this year, or recently, with 1 in 4 PCs are running Windows 10.
Wow. You know, I'm actually surprised it's not a lot more, to be honest. Because there was a free upgrade, right, for Windows 7 users.
Well, yeah, it was.
They took it away now, but yeah, that's considering the sheer number of PCs on the planet. We're talking about billions, right? 25% is pretty impressive, right?
Yeah, I mean, think about this. Microsoft is probably less than halfway. Well, they're certainly less than halfway, probably more than a third of the way towards their goal of 1 billion devices. You know, it's because they've hit 400 million, so they're not quite halfway, but we haven't had released numbers, so we're not sure how close they are. Imagine having anything that you made. You develop a HoloLens app, and a fourth of the planet that has a computer. It would just be incredible. So
Yeah.
I think it's a big milestone. Obviously, it's a nice round number, 25, 1 in 4 people. I think it's a big deal. I saw recently my university started adopting Windows 10 more, including in our productivity department. So a journalism department, we have Windows 10 installed now. Our training rooms have Windows 10. And I think that's a big indicator. When you have trained engineers and tech and IT people that have to manage hundreds of computers,
Yep.
and some of them are starting to feel really comfortable enough where they could switch their entire system over to Windows 10,
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a good sign for the operating system.
Yep.
I don't think that would have happened the year that it came out. Not
No.
just because it was new, but there were things to work out and bugs and that type
Exactly.
of thing. So I think it's a major step in the right direction. And I think Windows 10 is developing well, and it's hitting some of these numbers, maybe not on the pace some people expected, but certainly at a good clip.
Yep. Yeah. Well, when Windows 10 first came out, I was a little disappointed, but I feel like when it first came out, it was kind of childish, and now it's like, it's past its teenage years. Now it's like, all right, this is a legit thing, and now we're really starting to see some exciting, news coming, and so yeah, I'm excited for Windows 10. I really hope they keep it Windows 10 and don't make it something else, Windows 11 or whatever.
Well, they've claimed that it's the last version of Windows.
I'm all for that.
I am as well. I think obviously over time they'll have to continue making changes and simplifying things, adding new things, cutting things out. But as long as the core is still there, the big parts that need to stay are one core, the shell, obviously the apps, but it still needs to support the legacy. There are certain things that need to stick around. But I think Windows 10 ultimately has really turned into a success in terms of an operating system. I don't think it's perfect. I mean, if you go on Reddit, you go on Twitter, you can see flaws and scaling issues and the context menus still don't match, but
Yeah.
I do think that generally in terms of stability, it's good. I think a lot more people are comfortable upgrading. I wonder if they probably should have never stopped the free upgrade. I don't know. What do you think it was a mistake to have that limited?
At least for me, I know there was 3 computers that I helped people upgrade to Windows 10 because they were panicked about missing out, So I feel like, they were able to get some of those people. It might be worth, now that the panic is over, maybe reintroducing it again, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I can understand why Microsoft wants to make money, but I think that at the expense of people never doing it, maybe it's not worth it.
I heard
mean,
somewhere that Microsoft makes pretty much no money on Windows upgrades. They make all their Windows money on new hardware sales. It's like
that's all the more reason to give people free upgrades.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I don't know. We'll see.
Well, Windows 10 is seeing a lot of success in another form factor, but it's because how Windows 10 is, it's the same operating system. According to strategy analysts, Windows 10 is 16% of the tablet market share right now, which I think is a pretty significant number. I'm actually a bit shocked. I had no idea.
Does that include
really
the Surface, the Microsoft Surface? Is that considered a tablet?
Well, yeah. So, I'm as far as I could see, I was reading some Reddit threads on people debating.
Might be
this
some
and
double
talking
dipping
about
here.
it. I think that their line is a 2-in-1 that's primarily a tablet or looks like a tablet and is primarily used when it's counted. I think there's probably some wiggle room here. Like I think they said a Surface Pro 4 would count as a tablet, but a Surface Book would count as a PC, even though it could be used as a tablet.
Okay.
But then that leads, a Lenovo that flips 360 convertible. Apparently, some people said it doesn't, so it doesn't count as a tablet. So I think it's a little bit of a blurry area. But also, Apple marketed the iPad Pro as a PC competitor.
Yeah.
And that's obviously a tablet.
Yeah.
So this line's a little blurring on more than just Microsoft in terms of shapes and sizes. But 16% just on the raw data, I think that's a pretty good number, really.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, because, you'd think that... I know for a while Apple was just dominating the tablet space. And Android... Android made tablets, but you never really heard about Android tablets. I don't know how they're doing. Windows
they're way ahead of Apple now.
Are they?
Android.
I know Android has an operating system on phones, but I didn't know how well they're doing on tablets.
Well, let's see here. It says Apple shipments and let's see here. Worldwide market share of 21% of the tablet market share is Apple. Let's see here. Market share fell 2% points year on year to 63. So Android 63% of tablet market share.
Wow.
iOS or the iPads are what did I say? They're 20. Did I say 20%?
I'm super surprised. I had no idea.
21%.
I don't know anyone other than you who has an Android tablet, so I'm super surprised.
I don't have an Android tablet.
Oh, you don't?
I have an Android phone. I don't have an Android tablet.
Okay, so that means I don't know anyone who has an Android tablet.
I know one person who does. I don't know a lot of people who own just a tablet, though. I guess my dad owns an iPad, but that was through work.
Mm-hmm. I know of tons of people who have. Almost everyone I know has an iPad, even Microsoft people. But yeah, Android tablets. I'm surprised. 63%. I'm a little.
Now
skeptical.
remember though, that's a bit. Like phones. That can include a lot of smaller markets, emerging markets, lower income. People can't all afford iPads. So
yeah.
I think that it's a little. Some of these numbers. I'm not denying what they are, but I think we need to analyze what they mean.
Yep.
I'll give you an example. If these numbers are all accurate, which I'm not denying them. I'm just saying, like we said, what's a 2-in-1, what's a tablet, or how do these markets? But if it's 16% Microsoft and 21% iOS, wouldn't you think that developers would view them almost equally? I recognize that when you're dealing with hundreds of millions of people, that there is a significant difference between 16 and 21%. But it's not big enough. It's not like Windows 10 Mobile, where it's less than 1%. 16% of all tablet
yeah.
users, you would think developers, it's, oh man, we got to optimize, we got to make tablet apps, we got to
Yeah.
get them Windows tablet apps. Do you see that happening? I see it a little, but I don't see it as much with iOS.
I think most Windows tablet users, my guess, if they're anything like Surface users, probably use their tablets primarily as a PC with the keyboard attached, So, yeah. Like I said, I really
think that's it.
Yeah, I really want to use those UWP apps on my Surface. It's hard. It's hard when you have access to the full applications. And then the rare occasion where there are there are exclusive apps that don't have desktop counterparts, right? Stuff like the formerly Instagram, those typically are not available on Windows, right? Now Instagram recently came to Windows, but I feel like that's kind of a weird, like Instagram's something you use more on your phone, not so much in you're not going to take a gigantic picture on your tablet.
I've seen them. You see people holding up those iPads and things.
That's true. So now with the Surface, they can, Instagram on Windows. But yeah, those exclusive apps that don't have your desktop counterparts, those are the ones that we really need to come to UWP. But those tend to be the ones that don't, for whatever reason.
Yeah. To me, I think that people like. Let's just look at the Surface for a second, then we'll look at some other ones. Long story short, I think some people use Surface as a tablet in terms of how they hold it, that it has a touch screen. But I think that the Surface, and honestly, most of these 2-in-1s, are super portable, touch-enabled PCs.
Exactly. Yep.
They have apps. There are apps that I use. Technically Edge is an app. But like you Skype versus Skype Preview, we've tried Skype Preview. It's not up to par yet. That's why it's still labeled Preview. There are a few different apps if you want something that's super touch friendly. Groove is an app, those types of things. But it's pretty rare for me to sit there and say, oh, I'm dying to use this app. Netflix, those come to mind. It's not like there are none, but it's not like the iPad, because people had to make apps. Developers have really made these. And they do the best that they can with the architecture that's in place. Yeah. But with Windows 10, I think if they need something super powerful, they're not going to optimize it too much for that. They're just going to put a desktop version in, which is not bad. I mean, it's still there, particularly if it needs a mouse. I don't care if it's a UWP or not. If it needs a mouse and keyboard, I don't care if it's a program or an app, because I'm using it with a mouse and keyboard.
Yep, I agree. It's an interesting challenge. Microsoft is still trying to figure it out.
Let me ask you something, Sean. This argument about people not using tablets as tablets, wouldn't that apply even more so to a regular PC? Like, who's using apps on like a desktop tower PC?
Oh yeah, nobody would. Right?
Very few. I'm not saying that no apps are in use, but it's not like there's this huge demand. So to me, on paper, Windows 10, all these apps, billion devices as a goal. It's already past 400 million. Sounds great. But look at this for a second. If you have PCs where the majority of users don't use apps, which I'm not claiming that's the stats, but as far as I know, and for the people I know, they don't primarily use a PC with like a full PC for apps. Then you have laptops where a lot of people are using programs or just a browser. And then you have a phone with less than 1% market share.
Yep.
Is UWP going to draw in those developers that they thought it would? I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know. It's tricky. You know what might save this whole thing is legitimate Windows tablets that don't double as PCs, right? And I mean, maybe we'll start to see that on Windows on ARM.
You mean like a tablet running Windows 10 mobile?
Nah.
Or cloud?
No, I would say that if Windows 10 is, that unified shell we talked about a few weeks ago, if that includes a feature where your tablet that could run full Windows 10, maybe it's Windows 10 on ARM, has a better tablet interface or a mobile interface. I don't know if they were to unify that somehow.
Yeah.
Then
like I said, I'm not trying to claim that UWP is useless. I mean, there are many. The idea of UWP is great for the developers that do utilize it. It's a wonderful program. Like I've seen many apps that have jumped from PC to Xbox or phone to tablet, and it's a great thing. I want it to succeed. All I'm saying is that if you're a developer and you're choosing between where am I going to put my resources, am I going to put it into Android, iOS, a Windows program, or a Windows application? If the majority of your users are using a device that can run applications and you already have one, you'd probably stick with that at least for a while. So I think it's gonna be a long time between everybody jumping over onto these UWPs.
Yep, I agree. It'll happen maybe. I don't know. Maybe it might never happen.
I don't know. I guess I didn't mean to be so naysayer. I don't know. I'm
No,
really
it's
interested
true.
What our viewers and our our friends think here. Do you think that Windows 10 is going to drive app development across the board, or do you think it's going to stay where only certain developers kind of do it? Because everybody develops for iOS and Android. Certainly iOS. I think it really drives the money, and they're big money users that use that. And so you say,
go ahead.
If they don't, do they view it that way? I don't know. I'm not a developer. I'm really curious to know what they think.
No, I think you hit it on the nail. I think once there gets to the point where they need to develop it, then they will. But right now, there's not a need to. Right on iOS devices, you actually need to develop an app.
Yeah, because if you don't develop an app, no one can use your product on an iPad.
Yeah. So until they get to the point where they need to develop it, it's not going to happen. Yeah.
I also think that some things you really need an app for, but like on an Android phone or iPhone, you get all the apps you want. How many apps does the average user use? I don't know, 20, 30. It's not like there's a million apps that you need for every single user, but you need that option. And I just wonder how many of those are going to make Windows 10. Because anyway, we're beating a dead horse now, so maybe it's time.
I'll give one more example. So Slack, I use Slack, right? I download Slack from my Android phone because I need to have it on me for notifications. On my Windows device, there's a Slack desktop application, right? So I don't need to download the app. They just converted it to a UWP app. So I checked it out.
They use Centennial though, right?
Yeah, what's that?
Didn't they use one of the conversion tools of Project Centennial?
Yeah, so I looked at it, I'm like, this is the same exact thing. So I immediately uninstalled it because I didn't see what the benefit was. I think
they're going to use some of the APIs that you get from it being a Windows 10 app, but at the core of it, obviously, it was converted with a tool.
Yeah, so I ended up deleting it. So I think I think that's a perfect example. You've got if Slack was only available through the Windows Store and you couldn't download it as a desktop app, then absolutely, I would download that in a heartbeat and use it. But right now, there's just not a need, right? So I think that example goes for a lot of other apps as well.
Yeah, and some of our people have said, well, with Continuum building up, well, I would say Continuum and phones being able to run it is not going to make developers make Universal Windows applications. Because if it's less than 1% of market share of Windows phones in general, how many of those can run Continuum? How many do?
Yeah.
It's even less.
It's
that looking at maybe
for
1 in 200,
Windows
1 in
Phone,
300, 1 in 1,000. Who knows? It's less than 1%. It's a percentage of the less than 1%. So the idea that someone would bend over backwards to make that, unless that there are loyal, I've seen it. I've seen Dropbox, great universal apps. I'm not saying no one does them. What I'm saying is that there are certain people with limited resource that I don't think will ever make them unless they have to. That's all I'm saying.
So here's a good point. So Abdul in the comments made an observation that if Microsoft does dominate virtual reality, like I predict they will, now that's you're not going to run desktop apps in VR, but you could run UWP apps. So that might be Microsoft's winning ticket.
That might actually be the winning ticket. You're right, because that would be a device that people would want to use, but you have to use these universal apps.
Yep, exactly. You're not going to download. You can't install a desktop app to your HoloLens, but you can run any UWP app that you want. So yeah,
Basically, you just need Windows RT, but on a device people really want to use. HoloLens. Only universal Windows apps, but on a hardware device that people actually want to try.
Yeah. So, okay, I will say this. In the HoloLens community, a lot of people became super excited when Slack converted to an app because now they all wanted to run Slack on the HoloLens, which you couldn't do before. So, of course, for me, and I didn't really want to run Slack on my HoloLens, but there was a bunch of people excited about that being converted.
But you don't perpetually want one of your walls in your home to be Slack?
Maybe in the future, I don't know. But right now, I've got enough Slack notifications popping up all around me. I don't need another one.
There you go. Oh, soon, yeah, anyway. All right. Well, we got some other Windows 10 news this week.
Yes.
We had 2 new builds.
Uh-huh. Yep.
Windows 10 build 1000, or was it 15,025? I don't know if they're actually in thousands. 15025.
Mm-hmm.
There are some new features for both PC and mobile. Somewhat notable that they didn't ship the same day, but I mean they ship within a day of each other, so decide yourself if you're angry. They have Braille support in Narrator. I think it's great that Microsoft's making so many things available for people with different things.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's Narrator, whether it's Braille, different kinds of support. I think that's wonderful. They've changed feedback. I think that's a big one. Everyone would say the same feedback, but in slightly different words in the feedback hub. And now they can group those together, and then Microsoft can ignore the ones they don't like in one collection. No. I think they listen to lots of feedback, but as with many people, if they don't agree with your feedback, doesn't matter how many times you say it, they won't change. But I think with things that are obvious, they do listen to feedback. And they've listened to it before. But so that's that. Interesting one. So Nightlight, which is the name for if you're used to a blue light filter, or if you used Flux before, whatever, that's going to be built into the Windows 10 operating system now. So Nightlight's there, that's the name of it, and they've given some more options for how far you can change it. I think it's notable that Nightlight has shown up on multiple builds in Windows 10, but has not made an appearance on Windows 10 Mobile.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, which is scary.
The hardware of Windows 10 Mobile, as far as I know and as far as people I've seen on the web, it's very capable. You can do blue light filtering by hand by changing some of the settings on your phone. It's just that there's no way to do it automatically and based on the time of day. So if you have hardware that can do it and an operating system that you're figuring out how to do it, why isn't it on the mobile version of that operating system? What do you think, Sean?
I'm really confused because I feel like of all your devices, your phone is where you need that setting the most. Because late at night, right before bed, you're checking up the last few tweets, last few emails. You need to have that filter on your phone so that you don't stay up all night. So, yeah, I don't know. I think that... the opinion that you don't agree with is that I think Microsoft might be phasing out the phone. So, but I don't know. We'll see.
I think that they're going to keep supporting mobile in some way. They might, I don't know what cloud's going to be. I don't know what's Continuum and Cell and everything. I don't know if they're going to make, maybe they'll keep supporting the old one for a few years as they transition to higher end with Windows 10 on ARM. I don't know. But my question is why some of these features aren't making the way. I can a little bit understand something like Minecraft. I mean, I know they're owned by Microsoft, but I do understand that they run as a company. The people there probably don't use Windows 10 Mobile that often, if at all. I can understand a little bit, certain products that Microsoft owns, but this is the operating system itself. Whose decision was it to put Nightlight on PC and not phone? Unless it's physically impossible, I don't know why it's not there. I guess that's all I'm saying. If they come out and say, for some reason they can't do it, I guess that's fine. It's a bit odd considering that you seem to be able to do it manually. Yeah. But any feature to me...
It seems like a simple enough feature.
Should.
Yeah, it seems like it's not like some super complex thing. So, yeah, I would have done it if I were Microsoft, but I don't know all the ins and outs.
You feel like Mike, I feel like the people at Microsoft, some of them really care about Windows 10 Mobile, but I bet you a lot of them don't use it. I bet you if you locked them in a room only able to use it as they made that their only phone, they wouldn't like it.
Yeah.
And they don't.
I know a lot
That's
of
how
I know a lot of Microsoft employees, a lot of even marketing, especially, I know a lot of people, most of them use iPhones and Androids. I didn't know one Microsoft employee who was very adamant about Windows Phone, but after about 6 months, she changed to an Android.
but just think about this. If you at your job, when you make a product and you want to sell it to people,
Mhm.
you have to think, would I use that product? Would
That-
people want this product?
That's called eating your own dog food, right?
Yeah. And if there's something wrong with your product that makes you not interested, then you try to make changes to it to make it more appealing to you, because then that makes it more appealing to other people.
Mhm.
I don't feel that Microsoft does that with Windows 10 Mobile. In
No.
some ways they do. HP Elite X3, some of these really high-end stuff, some of the changes to Continuum are great. And then other ways you just say, how could you not make these changes? It's very odd to me.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. It seems like there's bright futures for
This
Windows
Twitter
Mobile.
isn't a Sway app. I don't understand.
I know. Well,
Anyway.
yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
Well, they're still trying to fix Windows 10 Mobile, though. We got a couple months left until the creators up, or 1 month left or so until the creators update. Maybe 2 months. I don't know if
Yes.
we know the exact date.
Yeah,
But they're
so
doing some bug bashes before then.
bug bashes. So the Windows build that you just talked about, that officially kicks off the bug bash. And the bug bash is a time, I think there's 2 spots, one on February 7th, the other on February 18th, 12th, somewhere around there, where you will actually have quests and you can help Microsoft bash bugs. So they'll give you certain quests to do. Basically, they're giving everyone every possible thing to look at in the creators update, and if it works, great. If it doesn't, you report it and bash bugs in the process. So yeah, I think that means we're getting close, Sean. I think we're gonna have a creators update coming out. It's supposed to come out in April, right?
Yeah, I think that's what we said.
Yeah, so it seems like they're right on target. Maybe hopefully a little early. We'll see.
We will see. Yeah, no, I think that'd be good. So you have some exciting news related to the HoloLens, which
Yes.
I think is probably some of the most exciting news of the week.
So this is the first time we've seen anything like this. This is the combination of the HTC Vive, which is one of the most popular VR headsets. So you got the Oculus and the HTC dominating right now, but in a shared space with the HoloLens. So the HoloLens can actually see everything that the HTC Vive creates, and the HTC Vive can also see the HoloLens, even though it's completely opaque. And I think I have a video that I can show while I'm talking about it. Oop, let me make sure that I'm on the right screen first. So yeah, it's pretty cool. I think it just goes to show the vision behind what. And this is not a Microsoft product. This was just some students who did this, but it goes to show what's possible. And Microsoft has a vision for bringing in virtual reality and mixed reality together for kind of this shared experience where people, using Oculus, using HTC, using the HoloLens, using other third-party devices, can kind of come together in one space and all collaborate together. So I think this is a great example of that, and it kind of shows you what we have to look forward to for the future. So it's pretty cool. I don't know if you have any thoughts on that, Sean.
I just think it's anything where it works cross is fine. Obviously, I wish it was first. I hope they were all first party, but I think it's the most exciting thing to me about mixed reality is that you could do it with other people.
Yep. Oh yeah.
I think that the idea that you could be in conference rooms with other people, that you could be in a virtual world with other people, that you could have holograms with other people, that amplifies so much what Windows 10 holographic and other forms of virtual and augmented reality can be. So any cross-platform thing that anywhere, I think is great.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah. So in the video that they showed, the guy wearing the HTC Vive is making a robot out of blocks, and the HoloLens can see what he's making in real time. So yeah, I think it's just kind of the beginnings. We're in the very earliest stages of the VR AR boom, so it's exciting to see some of these developments.
Yeah. Oh, it's like video games. I mean, do you remember when you could play online multiplayer?
Oh yeah.
The first time you got that multiplayer experience, even with console games before the internet. You remember N64, the first time you played against another human being? So that's what you're getting with this. I think it's great. I think it's wonderful.
Yep, that's exactly right. All right.
Sean, we've also seen, and we'll finish with this one, different things involving the store with Surfaces, whether it's the Surface 3 being removed from a store, big sales. Do you think where there's smoke, there's fire? Do you think this could be leading up to something?
Yeah, so, sometimes if you want a little unofficial hint from Microsoft about, the future of devices, you just look and see, what they're doing in their stores, which is why everyone is kind of wondering, okay, what does this mean? The Surface 3, which is their only non-pro device, right? Surface Book is considered a professional device. Surface Studio, obviously, high-end professional device. The Surface 3 was the successor to the Windows RT line. So you had the Surface RT, Surface 2, which was also RT, and then Surface 3. But now, so everyone's been wondering, where's the Surface 4? We've got the Surface Pro 4, but where's the Surface 4? And I think now that they've finally removed the Surface 3 from the store, it either means they're not going to do a non-pro line anymore, but I don't think that's what it means. I think it means that I think the Surface 4, or I don't know if it'll be called the Surface 4.
Or a Surface 5.
Yeah, the Surface 4 concept, whatever's going to take that next place is going to be coming soon. And I don't know, there's a lot of, my own personal speculation about what that might be. I think it could be my hunch is that it will be a Windows 10 on ARM device. Because
which would be great.
Yeah.
I think a Windows 10 on ARM device with LTE connectivity would be really a big thing for businesses, big thing for users. Big.
And I think it almost has to be, if there is going to be a non-pro device, it has to be because Intel's not making the Atoms anymore. I don't know if you remember that.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
So you're not going to have a non-pro device. It's a Core, a Core i something. That would be a pro device, right? So I think it
the Core M, I guess, if it was cheaper, but I don't know the pricing on that.
The Surface Pro 4 is a pro device, and it's Core M, right? The Core M3.
But that's the lower one, so.
Yeah, so I think naturally, at least intuitively in my brain, which it doesn't always work that way, it seems like a Windows 10 on ARM would be the non-pro device. And I think that would be, in a sense, the Surface 3 would have just been a blip, and that would take the rightful place of the kind of continuing the RT line, because it's an ARM device.
And to me, that would be the best place for it to be,
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
And it would also be a little different. It wouldn't just be a less powerful Surface Pro, it would also give you a little bit more mobility.
Yeah, exactly. So you got excellent battery. You basically have all the benefits of the RT that I loved, but you can run full Windows. So it's really hitting that sweet spot. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Choosing it over a Pro if they just didn't.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Absolutely.
Well, we'll see if that comes to be. I hope so. We'll have to see.
Yeah, sounds good. So I think that's everything for today.
Yeah, I think so. I had a good time here. We're trying to make the podcast a little bit shorter, so it's a little bit more digestible.
Yes.
For the for the listeners and viewers here, we recognize that an hour can be a bit long, but we want to be a regular part of your schedule, and we also want you to be able to get all the news and enjoy the discussion. So please get engaged with us on Twitter. I practically live online. I'm probably there too much in terms of Twitter and that type of thing, and Sean as well. We're there. We're available on Microsoft's there as well for all your stories. That's on msft.com.
Yep.
So as always, I'm one of your co-hosts, Sean Mike. You can find me on Twitter at Sean_Michael_UK, and I'm always with Sean Ong. You can find him on Twitter at
Sean_Ong.
And also keep an eye out on his YouTube channel as well. So subscribe to us on YouTube. Subscribe to Sean Ung specifically on YouTube. If there's a Surface Phone, Surface Arm, Surface anything, except maybe a Studio. I don't know if you have one of those yet.
No, unfortunately not yet.
But but Surface experts, Sean. So yeah, keep up there as well. And make sure to check out our weekend recaps and all the news that we cover there on Microsoft.com as well. Thanks a lot, guys. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye.